By the end of this video, you are going to be a self-tanning pro. Hey y'all, what's up? My name is Ashley. Welcome back to my giant sleepover. If you don't already know, mastering the art of a great tan is a secret weapon crucial to the ultimate summer glow up girl. And as someone who's been studying this my whole life, I understand that being that girl isn't something that you just do overnight. Being that girl is something that you develop over time. Beauty skills aren't something that some people have and some people don't. Beauty skills, again, are something that we've developed, and you start curating your overall look, and then it gives you one overall package that makes people say, okay, she is that girl. I'm gonna start off today by telling you my full routine from start to finish, how to have the ultimate professional, gorgeous, natural looking self-tan, and then at the end, we're gonna go through some frequent mistakes. So the first thing you wanna do is you wanna exfoliate and shape. This is gonna give the tan the most smooth surface to stick to. Now, if you're also like questioning, like, okay, why can't I just put it on my skin? Let me just explain something to you. Your skin cells shed every single day. And if you put on the tan and then it makes your skin all beautiful and glowy, but you have a big layer of dead skin on your skin, think about how much shorter of a time that tan is gonna last. You wanna scrub off all that dead skin so that way you have the newest, freshest layer of skin sitting right on top so the tan can last the longest time possible. And also, you also want to shave when you do this. Some people say that you should shave one day before you tan, and then on the second day you'll just exfoliate everything and then apply your tan. This particular time I did shave the day before I tanned. I shaved my armpits, my arms, and my legs. You do not have to shave your arms, girl, but I'm just someone who I feel like it makes my arms look better. I just like the smoothness. It doesn't bother me, blah, 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 blah. We can talk about that in another video, but I just shaved the day before, and then the next day I did my full exfoliation and I tanned. And the second step is you want to lotion any dry areas. So like your elbows, your feet, your hands, and your knees are areas that you want to put lotion on. Because if you leave these areas unlotioned, they're drier than the rest of your body, and you're gonna have like really dark, like orangey elbows. I guess mine are a little dark, but not as dark as they would be, girl, had I not lotioned them, okay? And then here we are at step 3, we're ready to apply our self-tan. I use a mitt and then I use a back applicator. You wanna go ahead and put your self-tanner onto your mitt and start rubbing it in. And keep rubbing it in until you get a smooth application. I recommend using a tan with a color guard. Do not use a clear tan. We're gonna explain that in the end of the video with the common tanning mistakes. But you're gonna use a tan with a color guard. Again, a tan that's already a color, and then keep rubbing it in until it's nice and smooth with no streaks, no weird swipey marks, da 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 da. You wanna start on your calves. I always start with my calves and then I go up to my thighs. And then when my full leg is done, I take whatever is left over on the mitt and then I go ahead and do the tops of my feet. It's really important you don't go in with the tops of your feet from the jump, because again, the tops of your feet are naturally drier than your calves. And there's something about the skin on your calves that just is harder for the tan to absorb into than the tops of your feet. And you don't want like really dark feet and then like not as dark calves. That's just not the move, bestie. We're not gonna do that. So you wanna use what's ever left over on the glove, but you don't wanna go in with like pumping the tanner on the glove and then doing your feet, if you catch my drift. You just wanna do what's ever left over. And I wanna share with y'all the 2 products that I use.
Well, not 2 products, it's just 1 product.
I've been tanning for years, and so far this is my favorite tan that I've ever used. This is the Norvell Venetian. It's a professional spray tan solution. But I found years ago, I learned this on TikTok, that you could take a professional spray tan solution, buy it from Amazon, and then put it into a pumping bottle. So this is actually an old bottle of Jergens. This is one I used to use. This does not work as near as good as this. This one has the ultimate blue violet type of undertone. As you can see, it's just natural.
It looks like I've been laying out on the California coast, girl.
Like Venetian. I think that Venetian means like Venice, Italy, but anyways, you just pour out all of the Jergens tan from here. You could also buy a foam bottle on Amazon if you don't already have one just laying around. Just open it. I hope I don't make a mess. And then just fill it up. Just put it in there, girl. You can see how dark the solution is. And you want to fill it up to about here. You want to leave room for it to like do its foamy thing. And I did recently also discover express formulas. I love a good express formula. I think like an hour to 3 hours is so much better of a tan marination time than 12 to 24 hours. However, like I ran out of my express formula. Norvell stuff is just so big and it lasts for so long. I'm trying to use it up because right now in the summertime my routine is a little bit more lenient and I have a little bit more time to do things. I do prefer an express formula. This one is like a 12 to 24 hour formula if you want like the best results out of this. If you want the full darkness out of this, you have to wait 24 hours to rinse it off, and that is a very long time. This particular time I waited about like 12 to 14 hours and this is the results that it gave me. So it did get dark enough, but after I finish this, I am only going to be purchasing a express formula just because this is so long. These are actually the Mitt and back applicator that I use. I have a couple different mitts. They're all like this, and then for my back, I go like this. I go down horizontally, and then I go vertically like this. Really important that you go vertically like this because otherwise there'll be a hole in this area right here of like just white because the back dips right there, and then it's really easy to miss that area if you're just going like this. So the next step is you want to go ahead and powder yourself tan. Yes girl, powder. This is the most unhinged, crazy part of my routine though. You can't see it, but there's a towel down on the floor of the shower. That's because after you shower, usually the floor of your shower will be a little wet. You don't want any water at all coming into contact with your fake tan, okay? Got a washcloth, a dry washcloth, dry, clean washcloth, okay? And I've got some cornstarch. You can use baby powder, but girl, I ran out of mine and this works just fine. Let's take a deep breath. I'm gonna hold your hand. Ready? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And you can kind of, and you could go to sleep with, you could just let it dry and go to sleep, girl, but like fake tan is always gonna have like a stickiness to it, and you just ain't go sleep as well. If you do this, the tan is dry, girl. And I don't have too much of a problem with this stuff. Can you see the color better now? It's like pretty crazy dark. That's because the tan has a color going on it, but I'm sure that I'm gonna explain that to you when I do my regular sit down video. The main areas you wanna hit are like in your armpits, like underneath your boobs, between your legs, like where your thighs meet your like pelvis area, and the backs of your knees. Like that's like the main like sticky areas, and like your elbows too. But girl, I put it all over. Sometimes like when I had the baby powder, I would just like literally open up the back of my shirt and just dump it down there. But yeah, don't mind me, I'm just gonna keep on powdering. There is a new like dusting powder trend going around where people are like making perfume scented dusting powder, where they're getting like baby powder from the dollar store or whatever, and they're getting perfume oil and mixing that together, and that's awesome and really cool. But for a tan, I would not risk it because I think that the oils from the powder could actually eat away at your tan and cause like a weird chemical reaction, and like you'd have weird results. So make sure you just use like regular baby powder or cornstarch like I do, girl. And then step 5, you kind of have to pick and choose like which way is going to be easier for you. Because if you're in bed and you're asleep, you're not going to be preparing food, you're not going to be doing laundry, you're not going to be cleaning, you're not going to go outside and then it starts raining, or run to the store and then it starts raining, you know? But again, like fake tan does leave behind a smell, and you are going to want to change your sheets the next day. I try to do a thing where I time it right to where like I change my sheets every 5 to 7 days. That is the way to keep your bedroom smelling the most fresh and the most clean, girl. A lot of the yucky smells in the bedroom do come from the bed. Anyways, that's a different conversation for a different day. However, you can kind of time it with your tan to where like, okay, if I'm on day 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 of my bed sheets, I can tan, and then I'm gonna have to change my bed sheets anyway. You see what I mean? So it's like, do you want to do that, or do you want to like be really careful and like not drip water, not do laundry, and not clean? So if you're doing like a 1 to 3 hour formula, it doesn't really matter. I have slept in a 3 hour formula before, honestly. If you want to go and put on your loose fitting clothes and have your powder on, do not wear deodorant. Girl, do not wear, I know it sounds gross and it is stinky, But girl, don't wear deodorant when this stuff is developing. You want to go ahead and let it marinate, whether you're using a full 12 or 24 hour formula or a express formula. If I use an express formula and if it says on the bottle like, oh, you can do 1 hour for light and 3 hours for dark, girl, I'm going for 3 hours. I'm not going for just a slight glow. I'm going like dark. And if you use a tan that has the right undertone, you're not gonna look orange. So now after you're done marinating, you wanna go in and start to do your rinses. So now when you do your first, this is called your first rinse, you're gonna just let the water wash over you. And again, by the time you're done marinating, you're gonna look like, I don't know, like you're ready to join the Blue Man Group or something. You're gonna look funny, okay, when you're done marinating. And that's normal. Don't freak out, girl. Don't freak out. But you're going to want to go ahead and get in the shower, do a first rinse. Make sure you get all of that color guard off. It'll look kind of like weird and crumbly. I'm going to insert a video of me before I did my first rinse. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. But don't let that fret you. You are gorgeously tan underneath. Don't fret, babe. Don't fret. It is the next day. I've been marinating. This is what I look like. I have not showered yet. It is pretty dark. But like I said, this is just with, it has the color guard on it still. And it's always going to look darker with the color guard still on it because the color guard helped us see where the tan was going as we were applying it. So you want to go ahead and just wash off with just water, no soap yet, okay girl? Because your tan is actually still developing at this point. I learned this from several like professional spray tanning websites. That's how I learned about this rinsing process. But you want to go ahead and wash your armpits because girl, they stink because they've got that tanner in them and you've been sweating, blah 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 blah. So you want to go ahead and wash that and then your downstairs areas as well. At this point, I like to go in for my armpits. I like to use a pH balance wash. So like any feminine wash is good for that. I'm not talking about down there. We'll talk about down there another day. But it's up to you what soap you use for down there. I'm not going to talk about that today. But I keep a feminine wash in my shower and I keep it for tanning. For my armpits, I find that the feminine wash like does a really good job of neutralizing the smell of the tan because the tan has like the tan has messed with your body's pH a little bit. The pH balancer helps go back in there and right the wrongs, okay girl? If you get out of the shower at this point when you've done your first rinse and you're like, oh, I'm not as dark as I thought I would be, girl, you're not done developing yet. So you want to just leave the tan and do not put on lotion, do not put on anything. You can use deodorant, but don't put anything on the rest of you. And this time I actually did my hands separate than the rest of me because I have a 12 to 24 hour formula, so I did sleep in mine. But I recently learned that putting it on your hands and sleeping in it is like a no-no because even if you do the barrier lotion before your hands get too dark. So I went ahead and applied them separately and I'm going to show you how to do that.
Let's roll the tape.
Okay, I just washed my face. They're a little less pronounced on camera with this lighting, but let me see if I switch the lighting better now in the warm light. You see the line? So I'm gonna take my EOS lotion. This stuff is controversial. Like, is it
If safe, is it not?
I feel like it matters less which lotion you use as like a barrier versus like when you're applying a lotion to manage the tan. Big of a dot I do. So like that big, that's it. That's all you need. I'm gonna kind of like
blot it
in, and then I'm just gonna I'm gonna blot this off on the wet washcloth. Be careful not to get it on the inside of your hands. If you do make a mistake on your hands, don't sweat it, girl. Like, your hands are like the first part to like start getting lighter because you're constantly washing them. But I'm just gonna apply it like this, and then make sure I go like this with my knuckles and make sure I get it in between my fingers so I don't have funky lines going down my fingers. So 12 hours after your first rinse, yeah, I think it's supposed to be 12 hours later, but honestly, like, so you want to go in 12 hours later. Step 7 is you're gonna do your second rinse 12 hours later after your first rinse. So this one, you can use soap, hallelujah. Make sure you use approved soap. Do not be just using anything. Bath & Body Works, Victoria's Secret Dove, I'm gonna explain why in the end. It's really important that you use a approved soap. And for this, girl, guess what? I like the feminine wash for it too because now I can kind of get that smell off of the rest of my body. It's not nearly as strong as like when you first like, you know, wake up and you're all powdery and you're all tan marinated, but it is still there a slight bit, only really so you can just notice it a little bit if you really go like, actually there's not really any smell. But anyways, I like to just use the feminine wash at this point just to like, in case my skin pH is still a little bit off, this will knock it back into the right place and then also remove any lingering tan smell. But like with this Norvell stuff, it's not really a problem. I don't do this all the time. Sometimes I just use my regular body wash, which is not Dove. Again, stay it to the end. And then you want to go ahead and apply your lotion. Lotion is super, super important when you're self-tanning because it does dry your skin out a little bit, and the lotion helps the longevity of the tan. Because remember, the tan is attached to your skin cells, and now that you have your tan on, you want to keep your skin cells there for as long as they can stay there, because that's going to keep your tan from looking even. If you let your skin cells get all dry, they're going to come off faster and you're going to have patches. You're going to look like a puzzle girl, okay? We don't want that. Step 8. It's been a couple of days since you did your tan. So like your first rinse was just water. Your second rinse was soap, but just with your hands, okay? So now we're on like the 3rd day since you revealed your new bronzed skin, okay? So on the 3rd day, he rose again.
Amen.
Amen.
You want to use an approved soap and actually wash your skin like semi-normal. So at this point, you can go ahead and use a washcloth. Some people use a loofah, but girl, I don't know if y'all have heard me talk about it before, but I don't like loofahs. I think that they're gross.
Gross. But that's another conversation for another day.
At this point, I go with my regular washcloth, which is the white ones from Walmart, are my favorite. And then I just go ahead and go lightly in on my skin. I still go to town on my armpits and my behind, scrubbing it because, girl, like I said earlier, I like to smell good. You want to go in and start washing your body like normal with your washcloth. And you're doing this because it's actually gently exfoliating your skin. We're not taking it off, don't worry, but this actually helps the tan fade evenly. And don't worry, like you're still gonna be dark, you're still gonna be tan, but if you just like don't use a washcloth for the whole week, you're gonna just get like really patchy and weird looking. So you have to follow these steps. Trust me, girl, I've tried every way to prolong it, and this is the best way. And step 9 is you're gonna continue this process for the rest of the week. So when you shower, you're gonna use an approved soap, and you're gonna use a washcloth, and just be gentle with your skin. Don't go too crazy. Don't be in the shower too long. We'll also talk about being in the water later as well. And then afterwards, make sure you moisturize. Using a lotion is so important when you're self-tan. It is so drying. It can make you get kind of itchy because it's that drying to your skin. So it's important that you moisturize, and that's going to keep you tan longer. Because remember, girl, you're depending on those little skin cells and you want to keep them intact. You don't want them to shed. Now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Now we're going to go through common mistakes. It's really super important that you watch this because you don't want to put in all the time and energy to exfoliating just right, to applying your tan
Perfectly, like
red carpet perfect. If you use the products that I use, you will look like you're ready for the red carpet, girl, okay? However, you don't want to do all that work and then mess it up because you used the wrong product. So I got you, girl. Pay attention, get out your notes app or get out a pen and paper because I'm about to give you the real. I'm sorry to break some hearts, but these are unapproved soaps. Victoria's Secret, Bath & Body Works, and Dove, to name a few, okay? A lot of body washes, I think it's because they contain mineral oil. I don't know exactly why for the Victoria's Secret and the Bath & Body Works, but I've learned the hard way, girl. And Dove. But because they're so like moisturizing, it gets in the way of the tan and then it makes your tan start to fade faster. I remember like a couple years ago I was visiting a friend and we were going to some outdoor event and I was fake tan and I was applying this Victoria's Secret lotion because I love the way it smelled. It was like cherries. It was something like cherry blah blah blah. And literally as we were at the event longer, I was looking at the inside of my elbows and looking at the inside of my knees and like I was like getting like a weird triangle shape right here. Like the tan was literally like, this was the epicenter of it and it was all white and then it was like all trickling down and like making my tan get all patchy. It was disgusting. But now that I've been tanning for so many years, I know that's because I was using unapproved products. I'm just calling them that because I don't really know what else to call them, like forbidden products, no-no products, products that don't mix with the tan. And that goes for body washes, that goes for lotions. Anytime I buy a new product, I always Google it and I always say, is such and such product safe for spray tan or safe for self tan? I'm pretty sure that spray tans and self tans are the same chemically, so even if you go to a salon and get a spray tan, it's gonna be the same deal with the products. I love like feminine soap, like for my body. Again, we're not going to talk about down there because feminine hygiene is a whole video in itself, girl. But I love using feminine soap like for my body when I'm tan. I also love Native. So like sometimes on my first soap day, by the way, the first soap day, right after your first rinse, that's gonna be just with your hands. You're not gonna use a washcloth for the first time you use soap. Anyways, so I love the Native body washes. I feel like I've talked about them on my channel before. I love them for my tan. They don't bother my tan at all. They're not super moisturizing, but this is good. Like, we don't want to go in with a crazy moisturizing body wash because again, it's gonna just strip your tan. And if you're somebody that feels like you have to experiment with this, like, go ahead and experiment, girl. But if you're watching this like right before sorority rush, or you don't have time to practice your tan, you don't have time to practice your tan routine before rush or before whatever event you're gonna go to, I recommend that you just play it safe and just follow my product list, girl, and that way your tan can look flawless and then it can stay looking flawless, girl. Because you don't want to be waking up on the morning that you're gonna go tour your dream sorority house and then you look and then you've got weird patches everywhere, or you've got that weird white patch thing. So let's see, Native raw sugar is really good. Like any sort of like natural soap, you do have to check with Google though, but like any like sort of natural soap is usually pretty good because it doesn't have all those weird like moisturizers in it. Now we're going to talk about lotion. Lotion is super important for preserving your tan. I've talked about this like over and over and over again. I know. But lotion is really like what's going to lock that tan in and keep it on throughout the week. Now, the lotions that I love the most for this are Hempz Lotion, the Hempz. I talk about them all the time in my videos. I do different scent combos with them in my perfumes. You want to experiment with products and like body washes and stuff, and like you want to see if it really affects the tan. Like if you're that kind of girl where you have to see for yourself, go ahead and do it. Like, it's summertime right now, just do it like when you don't really have anywhere to go and it doesn't really matter what your tan looks like, or I don't know, if all you're doing is volunteering at your church for VBS or whatever this summer, like, and you don't care what them little kids gotta say, if you got splotches all over you, girl, go ahead and try it. But like I said, if you're watching this like really close to the first week back to school or to rush, just follow my tips. You're gonna be glad you did. You're not gonna have any hiccups or any problems. You just stick to the approved products, girl, I beg you, because like I said, I've learned the hard way. Now we're gonna talk about another common problem, and that is orange. A lot of people have a thing about fake tanning because they're afraid they're gonna look orange, and nobody wants to be orange. Everybody wants to be like golden and bronze and glowing, girl. And the fix for this is you need to make sure you're selecting a tan with the right undertone. There's one called, I think it's Saint-Tropez, and it's like an olive undertone. There's another one called Loving Tan that has like a really good olive undertone. I've not personally used those, but I've looked at people's videos and seen their results. I just love my Norvell, y'all. Norvell's Venetian spray tan solution is designed with cool violet brown.
Violet.
Violet. I never realized those words were so close.
Too many blonde highlights going through my head.
Norvell's Venetian spray tan solution is designed with a cool violet brown undertone to give an exotic Riviera tan. There you go. And it even says V107 is a unique blend of anti-orange bronzer pigments designed to counter an unwanted orange undertone for a natural looking tan. And there you go. It literally says anti-orange formula right underneath this little like X symbol. You just want to make sure you like look at the description of the tan, look at people's reviews. I found out about this tan in 2022. I saw a lot of people doing the hack with buying the professional spray tan solution, and I saw the results and I was like, okay, I'm into that look. I'm into that undertone, girl, so I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. And plus, for how fast I was going through my old tan, which was this one, which was kind of orangey. It wasn't too orangey, but I felt like it was kind of orangey. But honestly, girl, as someone who's been tanning a long time, I'd rather be a little orange than pasty, okay? You see the color of my eyes? Yeah, girl. Next to my skin, girl, if you watch me on Snapchat, you know that when I don't have a tan, I'm like, girl, I look like Rosalie Cullen. Yeah, in that scary wedding dress scene, I look just like her. But anyways, by the way, fair skin is beautiful. If you feel confident with your fair skin, girl, rock it. There's people that I see them that they complain, there's content creators that complain about their skin, and I'm like, girl, whether you're pale or whether you're tan, you're gorgeous. But like I said, the tan just takes it to the next level, girl. I don't know, I just can't help it. Another thing that can make it get orangey if it's overdeveloped. So if you have an express formula that says 1 to 3 hours, if you were to leave it on for like 6 hours, girl, you might be overdeveloped and it might be orangey looking. I've overdeveloped tans, but like I said, I've been tanning so long I really don't care as long as I'm not pasty. But again, if you're doing this for an event, you want to make sure your tan comes out flawless, beautiful, and natural looking. You don't want to overdevelop yourself, so make sure you're following the timetables on the back of the tan. Another thing that can kind of be orangey is if you watch like older YouTube videos, at least the ones that I've seen, they recommended this one product, and it's called Sally Hansen Leg Makeup. Now this is not a tanner like the Norvell one that I have, but this is like body makeup. And I've even heard they use this on the red carpet. I'm not sure if that's true, I've just heard that. But I will say that the one that I have, it's like medium or something, and I do put this on, like especially in my YouTube lives. Like if you go through my lives, you can kind of see, you can kind of see that I'm a little bit different undertone in some of them, and that's because I have applied the leg makeup, because it just, when I'm not really doing anything and like I just want to like look good for camera and I'm not tan but I need to film, I'll just throw that on. And I have worn that to events too, but it's kind of like anxiety inducing because like it will wash off of your hands, then you'll have like white hands. It is water resistant, I think, but it's still not as good and not as natural as like the Norvell Venetian or the Saint Tropez or blah blah blah. But that stuff does have an orangey undertone, so if you like really don't want to look orange, don't use that one, girl. And I don't recommend like painting yourself tan with a body makeup for Sorority Rush. Don't do that, girl. Don't do that, especially in the summer, girl. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Because like once a tan is developed and once you've washed it off and stuff, it's not gonna rub off on anything. You can wash your hands. You can be pretty much normal as long as you don't. Even if you use a like no product, it's not gonna come off like dripping off of you the way that like body makeup will, you know? And also like another thing with the orange thing is doing your hands or your feet out of order. Remember how I said like with the feet, like don't do your feet from the get-go, like do your legs first and then use whatever's left over on the mitt for your feet, because you don't want to apply too much product in places that are drier because they can develop and turn orange. And it's the same thing with hands. If you go on TikTok or TikTok is probably the place that you'll see the most people, but go on TikTok and like look at like self-tanning or self-tanning troubles or whatever, and like you can see so many girls that have overdeveloped hands, and that's because they didn't put a barrier lotion down or they let their hands develop too long or what have you. The second most common problem with the tan is streakiness. Now for years I used to have a problem with this area right here. This was my problem area right here, right where this bone is, because I would apply my tan. I always do it like this, right? Because I like to start the tan right where the sun would hit me. I'd go like this. But then I would forget about this right here. And then I'd wake up in the morning and there'd be a great big white streak because I forgot it. So it's really important that you go and rub it in really well and make sure you get a tan with color in it, girl, not a clear one. I don't recommend the clear ones. If you use a clear one, I'm going to say, I love you. And I wish you weren't going through that, but inside of my mind I'm gonna say, I told you so. I told you so. And if you're totally new to the world of tanning, so basically what I mean by a color guard is like we said, so you look at this, oh, see this? See that? This has color in it. So, ooh, that fake tan smell. It doesn't smell super bad, but it definitely has like a coconutty, like...
I don't like coconut scents. I have a very weird scent palette, but let's get back to the point.
The color in it is designed to help you know where the tan is going. Because if the tan is clear and you're just rubbing it in and you're like me, and like maybe you got this part and maybe you didn't, and then you wake up in the morning and you're like, yay, it's coronation day, or like it's the first day of sorority rush, and then you look in the mirror and you're like, I look like I'm directing air traffic because I've got a big old line down my arm. That's from using a clear self tanner, because how do you know where it's going, girl? You don't. And I find this to be true with like spray formulas too. Like I think Neutrogena has one that I used to use like years and years and years and years and years ago, where it's like, oh, just spray and spray and spray, and it was also clear, and you never know where that stuff is going. I don't care how good you think you're spraying, you're always gonna... So to prevent this, just get a tan with a color guard in it so you can see where the heck it's going. Is it gonna look darker like if you sleep in it or whenever it's developed? Yeah, it's gonna look dark and it's gonna look kind of crazy because you have the tan that's getting darker underneath it and the color guard on top. But for the results, girl, it's worth it rather than the guesswork of a clear formula. And then the next common problem that I hear about with tans, and I personally had, is patchiness, girl. Patchiness. We don't like Miss Patchy up in here. And this is like where like I'll have like tan all over here, and then maybe there'll be like a great big splotch like here or there from the patches. Like the tan is on in certain places, but it's coming off in other places. And again, number one cause is from non-approved products. Oh, I forgot to mention perfume and body oil with a tan, girl, is a no. I've seen some content creators spray their skin with that, and I'm just like, because over a couple hours or over a day, that perfume oil or whatever type of concentration of perfume that you use, it's gonna go in and attack your tan and make it start coming off. So then you'll have white marks on your wrists or in here or wherever you sprayed that perfume. So my recommendation is you just spray perfume on your clothes only when you're tan. But choose a really good smelling lotion. The Hempz ones come in really good scents and they have a wide variety. So girl, just pick an approved lotion that you like. Besides using the wrong sorts of products, the big thing with patchiness is chlorine, girl. Chlorine is not your friend. Hot tubbing, going in the pool, whatever, like that is not great for your tan. Just know that like if you choose to do that, like it's gonna mess up your tan and make it get patchy, and yeah. If you've just put on a fresh tan and you're gonna go to a nice dinner, or you have prom, homecoming, sorority rush. I did a video like 2 videos ago on sorority rush, by the way. That's why I keep talking about it, because this stuff does help people that are going through rush. This stuff does help girls. This stuff does help my girls that are going through rush, okay? Pan love. If you don't know what that means, you'll learn what that means. Just get used to saying it. Pan love. Chlorine is not your friend. Stay out of the chlorine if you want to keep your tan on longer. If you're like, Ashley, I went on this family trip and we're at a water park, I can't just not get in the water. That's fine, girl. Just like if you want to get like cutesy pictures, like maybe like on the first day that you get there, already have your tan on and have it done, and then like go around the park and like take pictures and then get in the water and have your fun. So then that way you can get your cutesy pictures and your like aesthetic shots, and then also have fun, but then also not look crazy in your pictures. So, and then as far as like swimming in the ocean or swimming in a lake or swimming in fresh water, I have swam in a like a river slash like spring-fed river before an event, and I was okay. I don't know if I'd recommend that if you're like new to the tanning thing, but I did get away with that and I was okay. I did stay like very moisturized. I wore sunscreen the whole time, and this is also like what helped keep me moisturized, and it was fresh water. And I've also heard the thing about salt water too, that salt water won't bother your tan. But what's super important if you've been in water is like, you know how when you sit in the bath for a while and like if you say like you scrub your feet with one of those like scrubby things in the bath, like the longer you sit, the softer your skin becomes and the easier it is to take off the dead skin cells. When you do that with your tan, and say you're not scrubbing at your skin and you're in the water because you're swimming, but then you get out of the water and you take a towel and you go like this, you're scrubbing off like your skin has gotten soft and the layers of skin are coming off and the tan is coming off with it. So if you do go swimming and you're in salt water or in fresh water, after you get out, make sure you pat dry, girl. Pat dry gently. But again, I don't recommend staying in the water for long periods of time with a tan if you're wanting to keep that tan fresh. Now, if like prom was yesterday or bid day was yesterday for a sorority and I'm doing a cannonball in the pool to celebrate and I'm having a party, girl, do your thing. Don't worry about the tan. Tans, you can redo it another day. You don't need it, and you don't need to be perfect anymore. I'm not telling you not to live your life or not have fun. But if you want to prolong your tan, minimize your time in the water. Stay out of that chlorine, girl. Another tip for photos, if you're like going to a beach vacation or you're going like down to the river and you're going tubing every day, but you still want cute pics and you still want to look tan, you could always edit yourself tanner in the pictures. I know people are always like like editing, but girl, like you're honest, like you would look the same if you weren't swimming because you'd still have your fake tan on. So like you're not editing it too far out of reality, like, you know, it's not that hard to do. Because like if you're like being so paranoid about your tan, sometimes you can't have fun. You want to still have fun, girl. I still want you to get those cute pics because I know that you want to get the cute pics because I want to get the cute pics and I know how us girls are. Another idea I have for like water-based vacations where you still want to be tan, but like you're like, Ashley, I have so many cute swimming suits planned. I don't want to just take all my pictures the first day. But I'm not going to go down the water sliding into the chlorine because my family paid to go to this water park. Girl, I get it. Have your fun. Another idea I have is like, so like say you have your self tan on, you're super moisturized, you're patting dry, maybe do a gradual tan. So that way, like, you know, you did your first day in the sun, you swam around, blah blah blah, you showered correctly, use approved products, moisturize. What you could also do is you could take a gradual tan and then you could apply that and that'll give you a little bit of glow. So that way while the time in the water is working against you, at least the gradual tan is working for you. I used to use gradual tans a long time ago, but they personally weren't my favorite. But like if you have to be tan and like you're in a vacation type environment that's working against your tan, that's something that could potentially work. So definitely experiment with that and see how it works for you, girl. Because if it doesn't, honestly, like you're gonna get into that water, you're gonna slip and slide around all day and you're gonna get in the tubes and go through the lazy river, blah 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 in the water park. It's gonna take off whatever the gradual tan did and then you'll reapply it the next night. So you don't really have anything to lose with that. So that's another idea I have for that. And then again with this, of course, it's still taking pictures at the beginning of the day because like as the day goes on, your gradual tan is gonna like fade because you're gonna be in the water all day. So like gradual tan, put it on at night, let it develop, and then hey, day 2 at the water park, leopard swimming suit, and then that night pat dry, moisturize, then gradual tan again, day 3, green swimming suit. You know what I mean. And another idea, like I mentioned before, is body makeup. The one that I commonly use is the Sally Hansen one. If you're just going to dinner for like an hour and like you could like maybe take it along in your purse, so that way if you have to wash your hands, you can just put it on the back of your hands and do like this. You can stay tan for dinner and have cute pics being tan. Because like I said again, all that time in the water is gonna strip some of that tan off. Thank y'all so much for watching my video. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on Snapchat and I will add you into our private story with all of our sleepover besties, and there we can talk about what y'all want to see next and just chat like the sleepover girlies that we are. The secret emoji for today is going to be an orange heart. So if you reach the end of the video, make sure you go ahead and drop that down below. But I'm going to go ahead and head up out of here. I hope y'all liked today's video. Drop any questions you have below and I'll see you next time. Bye! Also, I wanted to quickly add that I made this today. This is the welcome to my giant sleepover, which is what I always say because that's what my channel is, a giant sleepover, but I don't know how to frame the camera yet to include me and it. So, anyways, there it is.